All right, so we're going to go through all of these in theory. Now, some of these, by the way, you'll notice some of these are terms from the extra lectures or from your notes. One thing I will tell you about the notes. So two lectures were put online today. One of them is a whole thing about period 9. So it explains everything you need to know about period 9. It's about 17 minutes long. Then there's one that's all about politics in the 1970s. That was about 12 minutes long. So very, very short videos for you to be able to catch up. All the extra lectures I put online were 15 minutes, which is weird because normally it would took like an hour and 20. So that means you guys distracted me. Oh yes, lots of questions. One of the two. But regardless of those are online, so study them. Okay? That's the biggest thing I can tell you. The one on roots of terrorism I did not do. It's unlikely you will see a question on it. If you just read front and back that page, you'll be just fine.
9/11, that's all you need to know.
Well, technically, the key concepts actually say the preludes to 9/11. And then it says war on terror, but I really don't think they would do that. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so Free Soil Party. Free Soil Party is created following the Mexican-American War. After the Mexican-American War, we have the Mexican Cession as well as the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And you get that nice little part down there of the Gadsden Purchase. So with all this new land, though, we have a problem. Remember that fun little Missouri Compromise line, 1820? Well, now what happens to all these new states? So, yeah. Yeah, are you going to write that in an essay? Yeah. California screwed everything up?
Yes.
Hold on. Yes.
Was the Wilmot Proviso also in this time? Was it before the Free Soil Party?
Wilmot Proviso is going to be right after. So first off, let me talk about what the Free Soil is, because that's first. So Free Soil Party is easy. No slavery in the territories. We're not taking away slavery in the South, just in the territories. The Wilmot Proviso is going to have a suggestion that basically is the Free Soil Party, but in actual legislation. So it says no slavery in the territories. It was never passed.
So what if you have an essay about World War II? Can you use Captain America?
Yes. As long as it applies to the prompt. If you want to do a causation essay on World War II and the effect is American propaganda through things such as Donald Duck and Captain America and Mickey Mouse, go ahead. Technically, I would put Donald Duck over Mickey Mouse. But yeah, all of these are things you can use. Great. So, Free Soil Party, no slavery in the territories. In new territories, yes.
It's no free people, free land, free speech, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's free speech. It's one other one. Okay. By the way, once I erase it, I'm not coming back to it. So if you have a question, you're like, Miss Ray. Okay, got it. That's how you ask a question. Okay, Quasi-War. So the Quasi-War is one that a lot of you guys got confused on out there, because most of you forgot. What do you know about the Quasi-War? Immediately following the Revolutionary War, I believe it was in 98 to 99, what happens with the Quasi-War is basically we get into this naval war with France. All you need to know is France, Navy. Basically, it was America attempting to assert their dominance. France says, excuse me, actually, you don't have dominance. We still have Canada. And basically, it's this disagreement over the territories and conflict over what is America's place in the world.
More of a trade question.
Yeah, it's a trade war because what happens is that we start to trade. Canada says that they apparently own Maine. And then they say that they also own all of Canada. Therefore, they can restrict our trade. It's just a mess. Yeah. 1799 to 1789 or 1798 to 1799, and this is going to be John Adams, which the way you can remember that is because Midnight Judges happens in 1800.
This was after the XYZ affair, right?
XYZ affair is in War of 1812.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Where's Citizen Genet?
Citizen Genet affair is also in the War of 1812. Okay. If you get asked on that, that would suck. Hey, I heard that the AP Gov test was awesome, so I bet all your kids pass. Mostly just from Lucy, but we're going to hope that Lucy speaks for everyone.
I think I did good.
You're not on the flag well.
No, we're not on the flag. We actually had class outside. We just came back.
Keep it real.
All right.
Tomorrow, you guys.
That'll go a long ways. Okay. Anyways, Lucy?
Okay, so you said this is Adams, but switching into Madison, Marbury being Madison, was that president? What president was that?
So, Washington, Adams, Jefferson. So Jefferson is going to take the presidency in 1800. So this is when John Adams is leaving. Jefferson's coming in. John Adams adds a bunch of judges at midnight, but does not sign the paper. And then they say, oh, wait, that means that I'm actually part of this cabinet. And then they say, no, he never signed it. And so then they sue over that. And then it basically just affirms judicial review.
As with Jefferson.
Yeah.
So it was actually about the Quasi-War before you missed it.
It's too late now, Gator.
Too late. Okay. Anyways, what's up?
It was following which war?
Well, so the revolution ends in 82, 83, 85. But the Quasi-War kind of becomes our first conflict following the Revolutionary War of outside powers.
And when Canada first,
Hey guys, people are listening. Yeah.
when Canada burned the White House, is that?
And it burned. That's War of 1812. Yeah. Remember, it burned. And they're the ones who did it. Okay. All right. Okay, listen. Moving on. Okay. Island hopping. I put this on there. I didn't really have anybody ask about it, but last class, every single group asked. So island hopping, there's 2 war tactics that you need to know for World War II. D-Day, which basically you just need to know it's a turning point, landing on the beaches of France. And island hopping, which is hopping from island to island in order to get to Japan in order to take them over. Basically, it's like stepping stones. Step, 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 get to Japan. Yeah. If you go like this in the AP exam, just like when you do E and A, then you'll be fine. I love that so far nobody's asked about immigration over the 2 classes, which means that my EA worked. Okay.
Yes. Europe, Asia.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, I remember that now.
Remember I went right before the robot came? Okay. All right. Okay. No, but I don't remember if it was this class or 3A, but somebody said, I wish we had the robot already when I did that. They said they were going to make me into like a GIF, but then luckily it wasn't recording, so we're good.
You say it right.
But it's recording now.
It is. But I think her head is blocking it, so we're good. Okay.
Photoshop.
All right. Here we go. Continuing on. Dawes Act. Dawes Act is going to be late 1800s, the Indian Wars. Dawes Act is going to make the modern-day reservation system. Basically, it's a restriction. You are now restricted to this reservation. You are not leaving it. The Dawes Act creates a reservation system that we continue to have until today. This is really like the end point of most things that you will be asked about on the Native Americans, unless you're asked about the 1960s with the American Indian movement. But other than that, this is going to be your ending point.
It's created by Dawes.
Well, Dawes, he wasn't a president. Dawes, I believe, was the Secretary of Internal Affairs.
Yes.
Or the Secretary of the Interior. Because the Interior is national parks and reservations. Okay, Seneca Falls Convention. So Seneca Falls Convention is going to be the very first women's rights movement. So there's 3 women's rights. 1840 to 1850. 1890, so start of the Progressive Era, to 1920. So that begins with like Women's Christian Temperance Union, Jane Addams, more impact in politics, and then ending with women's suffrage. Oh, and then actually let's extend that to the 1930s because of flowers. And then the last one is Roe v. Wade, Feminine Mystique. So Seneca Falls is going to be the first attempt. They're going to get together. They're going to say, we're going to be able to advocate for voting. But then it doesn't work out. So they meet together. They start women's suffrage, but it doesn't end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing WCTU.
Women's Christian Temperance Union. Yep. Okay. All right. Pueblo Revolt. Pueblo Revolt has been asked one time on the AP exam.
1700s, right?
Technically, I think it's like 1600. I believe he looked it up at 1680. So, Pueblo Revolt. Don't act like I didn't tell you when we were out there. Okay, so Pueblo Revolt is going to be conflict between Native Americans and the Spaniards. So this is going to happen over in New Mexico. The Spaniards are going to come in. They're going to try to take over native lands. The natives are going to revolt and uprise. And what happens is the Spanish are going to leave. The Pueblos are going to, for the time being, keep their land, and it's a success for the Native Americans.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to do WCT? Okay. Okay, Woodrow Wilson, World War I.
Yes.
That's what you need to know for Woodrow Wilson. World War I, League of Nations, 14 points. Remember, 14 points is basically going to be what his plan would be for a perfect democratic world following the war.
He also expanded on Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes. If you get asked that, I would be shocked. Yep. Anyways, so Woodrow Wilson, biggest thing is World War I. World War I. Okay. So there's two different, so that's actually not what I was thinking. Okay, Whigs, Henry Clay. Whigs, Henry Clay. Offshoot of the Republican Party. The Whigs are basically going to be the next step above a Republican. So they're going to do internal improvements, fixing America locally. They also would have supported the Civil War. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the Republican Party in that time?
Okay, this is the modern day type of Republican Party in the 1837. The modern day Republican Party, which then in the mid-1840s switches back, it becomes a Democrat, and then when Lincoln comes back, it then becomes Republican again.
Why did they? Whose idea?
Because people kept switching party to party.
Yeah. And the Whigs turned into Democrats?
Republicans. Whigs end up fizzing out and joining Lincoln's party.
Yes. Okay.
The Whigs have not been asked really since the redesign, other than a brief mention on the DBQ.
So the Whigs at this point in time are.
Hey, guys. Go ahead.
So the Whigs at this period of time are anti-slavery, right? They
Yeah.
do hold those values.
Yes. Anti-slavery, but also understand racism. So it's like how Abraham Lincoln was anti-slavery, but also was somewhat racist. Okay. But so was everybody at the time.
Yeah.
And that's the way everybody was. Okay. Conservationist, John Muir.
Teddy Roosevelt.
And
Sierra Club.
and the Sierra Club, yes, which we didn't talk about in this class. The Sierra Club was created by Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir. So basically, remember those two guys? And they go out on this like bro date, and they go up into the mountains and camp for 3 months. So not that far. I'm talking about they just go and hang out with each other for 3 months. Nothing inappropriate, Luke. So, anyways, conservationist, progressive era, conserving America's the nature in America. Okay, populism. So, populism, farmers, end of the 1800s, following the Civil War. Remember, following the Civil War, people are going to become agrarian again. However, they begin to default on loans, especially because we have so much dependency on the banks that when the banks fail, our farmers are going to lose money. And because of this dependency, they want to go on to the silver system, 16-to-1 ratio, in order to be able to help the farmers out and be able to stabilize the economy. William Jennings Bryan.
Populism kind of goes with second industrial revolution.
Yes.
Right? Because they're mad because the businesses.
Because the businesses and the trusts and the monopolies, blah, 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 blah. Just think, if it helps, I don't think it'll be a DBQ because it was a DBQ last year on an alternative exam. But populism, remember we did that Wizard of Oz activity?
Yes.
Think that.
We could write all about that too.
Yeah.
And you get extra points.
Yep, exactly. Common sense is going to be Thomas Paine's pamphlet. Basically, it's common sense to revolt against the government. It's common sense to leave England. Pre-Revolutionary War, cause of the Revolutionary War. Be careful, though, because Thomas Paine last year was used as a sourcing, but with a different source, and everyone wrote about common sense instead of writing about Thomas Paine. It was
What did they use in
the American Crisis. Okay, republicanism. Basically, we want a democracy where we can vote. That's all it is. Having a democracy where we can vote.
Question.
Yes.
What is the American crisis?
American Crisis was another example of him basically saying the American crisis is being under Britain.
So it was still Revolutionary War.
Yes. Okay. All right. I left Jacksonian Democracy because this one right now is being estimated as the DBQ. No guarantee, but Jacksonian Democracy. Think about Jackson and Jefferson being besties. Small government. They did not want this big, large government. They hated the national bank, Second National Bank. He would have been anti-Hamilton. He wants a small government. But also, he massively expands the federal power while he's the president.
Isn't it specifically executive power?
Executive power, yes. So he's going to, for instance, instill tariffs against other countries. He's going to do the Trail of Tears, the Indian Removal Act. So he does expand it. So Jacksonian Democracy is all going to be about him first trying to say outwardly that he's reducing the federal government's power while also massively expanding it. Yeah.
Also listed as a spoil system.
Yeah. Spoil system, corrupt bargain. That's all included in all this.
What's the correct bargain again?
Corruct bargain, victim. Correct bargain is John Quincy Adams and Henry Clay. So Henry Clay allies with John Quincy Adams, gets John Quincy Adams the presidency as long as he gets to be the Secretary of State. It basically messes it backstabs Jackson is how he feels because he felt like this was an unfair system. It makes him hate the government more. And then when he becomes the president, he institutes the spoil system.
And corrupt bargain also turned the people against.
Yes. Okay. So, huh?
How was that even legal for him to institute this one?
Because, well, half the stuff was illegal, but they still did it. All right. Okay, we got to hurry. We got 3 minutes. Encomienda system of basically acquiring land and trade in America by the Spaniards. Basically, your wealth and your land was involving of enslaving the Native Americans. So they would come over, they would enslave them and make them their labor system. It's a labor system in America to fund the colonies. Monroe Doctrine. 1820, we're going to say that you can no longer, as Europe, have any impact on the affairs of America. So basically, you cannot colonize the Americas, you cannot deal with foreign affairs, but America can. So basically, you guys can't, but America can.
It happened in the 1820s.
1820, it was exact year. Okay. Now, I highly doubt that you will get a question on this. If you want to include it, it's feminism in the 1960s. So it was a women's organization that advocated for feminism. So they would have been pro Roe v. Wade, pro-feminine mystique. It's a feminist movement. National Organization for Women. Real quick, going through, we got 10 weeks. Okay. Bacon's Rebellion. Pre-Revolutionary War. So first off, what happens is actually Native Americans. So there's Native American colonist conflict. This conflict ends up causing this guy named Nathaniel Bacon to get really upset at how it's being governed. So he goes and does a revolt against the governor of Virginia, which is Berkeley. So basically, this is a cause of the Revolutionary War. Stono Rebellion. Stono is going to be the, no, it's not, it's the slave. Yeah. This is a slave revolt where they went to Florida. It caused harsher treatment for slaves in America.
Okay, I get that. Oh yeah, because they were like all running.
Nat, I don't know what that means.
Nat Turner.
Oh, Nat Turner's Rebellion. Slave revolt, that's where you get the Lumpkin slave jail. Basically another way of being harsher to slaves.
That's market revolution.
Yep. Whiskey Rebellion is going to be to test the president's power with George Washington. So this is going to prove that the executive can actually help them. This is where they put the tax on corn. So all the whiskey farmers revolted. George Washington sends in the troops. It's successful. Paxton Boys are going to be upset because of conflicts with Native Americans. They're going to kill a bunch of them, march to Philadelphia, and burn the place down. These two are on an extra lecture. There's a whole lecture about these two. If you are Mexican American or Spanish American and want to come ask me a question, you can do it now. Entire lecture on these are online. They're not that hard. If you are Mexican American or Spanish American,